Hey everyone, welcome. In this lesson, we are going to learn about rotation in 3D space. We are going to learn how to code so that we can control the rotation of an object using JavaScript in the HatchXR workspace, and using that knowledge, we will be able to build this drone project where you can see I'm able to make the drone move up, down using the up, down arrow keys, and I'm able to make this drone turn left and right using the left and right arrow keys. So let's get started. Now you can see this is the completed project that I have here, and the completed project link will be available to you after you follow around with this entire tutorial. And I have the template project link ready here. Now in the template project you can see the design of the game is already prepared, and if you go to the code window, you will see it doesn't have the entire code. There's just 3 lines of code written here that I'll explain how this works, but it doesn't contain the entire code. This is what we are going to be writing. We are going to learn how to write this, what exactly is this code doing, and we will learn how to control the rotation of 3D objects. So yeah, let's get started. I'm going to close this final project link here, and the template project link is going to be available in the description of the video, so you can open up the template project link, and once you open the template project link, you will see that it will open up in the design workspace. So this is what you will be seeing in the design tab. Now you see here this design of the game contains a lot of different objects. So let's go through them one by one. Let's click on this drone object, and you see the moment I click on this drone object, it selects this drone object here on the left panel, and you can see its properties on the right panel. So this is the drone object that is going to be flying around, and we are going to code how it's going to fly around. And we are going to control the motion of this drone object using the arrow keys. Up, down will make this drone move up and down, and left and right arrow keys will make the drone turn around. And along with that, there are other elements present in the design of this workspace. There are these buildings that you can see are in the buildings object, and there's some snow falling around. So you have the snow object, you have the ground and the environment. Okay, and then there's some lights and player object that we don't have to worry about right now. You will learn more about how to control lights and what exactly does this camera and the player object do in the future lessons. So yeah, let's not worry about the design tab more. Let's switch to the code window. Now in the code window, you will see we have by default, there's this 3 lines of code written here. And let's first understand what exactly is this code doing. So let's first click on the run script of this project, and you will see when you click on the run script, this drone keeps on moving forward forever. Yeah. So this is what this code is doing. Let's understand what's written here. So I'm guessing you all must be familiar with the create timer function, but for those of you who are not familiar, create timer function is a function that helps you run a code multiple times. So here it says that this line of code is going to run indefinitely, again and again and again and again, in every 17 milliseconds. So what is this line of code doing? This line of code is there to make this drone move forward. Okay, so you can see it says drone.move forward for n meters, and inside the round brackets it says minus 0.1. So all this code is doing is, this code is making your drone object move forward. Okay, move forward by 0.1 units. And it is moving 0.1 units in 17 milliseconds. So every 17 milliseconds, this drone object is going to keep on moving forward by 0.1 units. And because it is inside a timer, the timer will make it keep on moving forward again and again. So that's what this code is doing. You can try to change this number. If you change it to, let's say, 0.4 and run the script, you will see that the drone speed increases. It moves at a faster pace. See? You can even slow down the drone by reducing the number to a lower value. You say 0.04, and the drone will move at a much lower speed. See? So you can try to change the numbers if you want, but for now I'm going to keep this number as 0. Minus 0.1 and click on reset. So that was the code that was already present. Now what are we going to write? How are we going to make this drone object rotate and move around? So before we start with the rotation, let's first make the drone move up and down as you press the up and down arrow keys. So for your computers to detect whether you have pressed your up and down arrow keys, we have to add event listeners for KeyDown Event, right? We learned about events in our last lesson, but again, just to recap, events are actions that you perform in the game, or events are also predefined actions that can happen in the game. So we are going to write the code for our computer to detect when I am pressing the up or down arrow keys. So for your computer to detect whether an event is happening or not, we have to add event listeners. And to add event listeners, the JavaScript code that you write is add ADD and then capital E event, capital L, then everything else small, listeners. Okay, add event listeners. So you write add event listener like this and then follow it with a pair of round brackets, and you can end the line with a semicolon. So you have to write your entire code inside these two round brackets to tell your computer what event is the code listening for and what's going to happen when that event is performed by the user. So when somebody is pressing a keyboard button down, the event is called KeyDown. So inside these round brackets, one of the inputs that you have to give is what type of event is the code listening for. So first you write the name of the event. You write the name of the event enclosed in either double quotes or single quotes. So inside double quotes, I'm going to write the name of the event, that is key down. So key down is the event that will detect when you are pressing keyboard button. So you write key down and then write a comma. And now you will write what is going to happen when you press the keyboard button. The way to write that is you first write the word function, function, and follow that with a pair of round brackets and a pair of curly brackets. So inside the pair of curly brackets is where you're going to write what's going to happen when some keyboard button is pressed. But before we write what's going to happen inside this function, you have to tell your computer to recognize which keyboard button has been pressed. So for the computer to recognize which keyboard button has been pressed, inside the round brackets of this word function, you have to give the button that you're pressing a name. So the name that we generally give is event. So event will store the value of the keyboard button that you're pressing. And then we can use if-else conditions to check which key is pressed and perform our activities based on that. So now what we are going to do is we are going to make this drone object move up or down when the up or down arrow keys are pressed. Okay, so what we can do is we can simply inside this timer, inside the create timer code, after this drone.move forward, after this line, we can write a new line of code. We can say drone.setY. So we have learned that setY is a function that changes the Y position of the defined object. So the defined object here is the drone object. So we write drone.setY. Now setY is written as SET small and capital Y, followed by a pair of round brackets. Now inside the setY round brackets, to make the drone move up or down, what we do is we tell our computer to find out the current Y position of this drone object, right? So we say drone.getY. So drone.getY followed by a pair of round brackets. So this line of code will tell your computer to find out what is the current y position. And then you can say plus, and then we say some speed value. So I'm going to call it speed y. Now speed y is going to be a variable. I have not defined the speed y variable, so let's define the speed y variable. You can define the variable at the top of a code, and to define the variable, we use the keyword var or let. So I'm going to use the keyword let right now. So let, and then speed y. Speed y is the name of the variable that will control up and down speed of the drone. So I'm just giving it the name speed y, and I'm saying that at the beginning of the game, the speed y value is going to be 0. So drone.setY to drone.getY plus speed y. This is going to try to change the y position of the drone. Yeah, it will try to find out the current y position and then add the value of speed y. And then whatever this new number is, the computer will set the y position of the drone to this new number. But because speed y is 0, so there won't be any change between the current y position and the new y position. Adding a number with 0 doesn't change the number. So it will always set the y position of the drone to whatever its current y position value is. And as a result, when you start running the code, even though this line of code is still running, but because speed y is 0, the drone will not appear to move up or down. But what we can do now is in this event listener that we have defined here, right here, inside this curly brackets of the event listener, we can say if the up arrow key is pressed. So we can say if and followed by a pair of round brackets and a pair of curly brackets, right? So inside the round brackets, we can check for if the up arrow key is pressed. So I say event.key. Event.key will get your computer the name of the keyboard button that you are pressing. So we will check if this keyboard button that you are pressing is double equal to, and then the actual name with which we want to check. So inside double quotes, we write the name arrow up, capital A, capital U, and everything else small without any spaces in between them. So we are checking if the event.key value is double equal to arrow up. If it is arrow up, then what do we do? Inside the curly brackets, we can say if the up arrow key is pressed, then speed y value, we will give the speed y some positive value. Let's say 0.1. Now, if you run the script, you will see that your drone is moving forward. It's not moving up or down, but when you press the up arrow key, the drone keeps on moving up as well. So this is easy. This is something we did even in our last lesson, that we were able to move an object up or down using the up or down arrow keys. So just the way we added this up arrow key condition, similarly, we can add the down arrow key condition. And to add the down arrow key condition, what do? We just press enter here and then add this new condition, else if. So if the up arrow key is not pressed, then check for some other condition, okay? So else if, and then a pair of round brackets. Inside the round brackets, we check for if the down arrow key is pressed. So event.key double equal to, and then double quotes, and inside this you type the name of the down arrow key. So the down arrow key has the name arrow down, ARROWDOWN, where A and D are capital. So you have check if the key that you have pressed is the down arrow key. If it is down arrow key, then what? Then here you write a pair of curly brackets, and inside the curly brackets we can say that if the down arrow key is pressed, then speed y will be equal to minus 0.1. Now if you run the script, then you will see that when you press the up arrow key, the drone keeps on moving up, and when you press the down arrow key, the drone keeps on moving down. Now, what's happening here is, the moment you release the up or down arrow key, the drone is still moving up or down. So here we are not checking for whether after pressing the up arrow key, if the user has released the up arrow key or down arrow key, okay? The moment up arrow key is pressed, speed y will become 0.1. And then after that, speed y will remain 0.1 till some other event happens that changes the value of speed y variable. So the only event that will then change the value of speed y is if you have pressed the arrow down button. So what's happening here is, after pressing the arrow up button, if you release the up arrow key and you do not do anything, then your drone will keep on moving up forever because speed y will remain as 0.1. And similarly, after pressing the arrow down key, even if you release the down arrow key and you don't do anything, you do not do anything else in the game, then the drone will keep on moving down because the speed y variable has become minus 0.1. Now, what we want to do is, the moment you release the up or down arrow key, I want the drone to stop moving in the up or down direction. So in this scenario, what basically we are trying to do is, we want our computer to listen for the event of when the up or down arrow key is released. So to do that, we can add another event listener, but this time it's going to listen for a different event than key down. So go to a new line of code here, and we are going to write the same. We are going to add another event listener. So to add an event listener, we just write add event listener. So because it's a smart editor, whenever you're writing something that your computer tries to recognize, you will see suggestions pop up. And if the suggestions that are appearing in the code is correct, you can press the enter key and it will autofill your suggestion. So add event listener and then follow it with a pair of round brackets and end it with a semicolon. Now inside the round brackets of this second add event listener, we have to define what event do we want for the computer to listen to. And this time we want the computer to listen for when we are releasing a keyboard button. And again, this event also has a predefined name. The name is KeyUp. So you write this name inside the double quotation. So you write key, KEYUP, KeyUp. So KeyUp and then followed by a comma. And then again, the syntax stays the same. The next step stays the same. You just write the word function followed by a pair of round brackets. Inside the round brackets, you write event. And outside the round brackets, you write a pair of curly brackets. Now inside these curly brackets, you can write what will happen when you release a keyboard button. What I'm going to say here is, irrespective of any key that you're releasing, I want the speed y to become 0. I'm not going to check for which key I'm releasing, okay? If I release any key, so if I release up arrow key or down arrow key, then speed y will become 0. Now, what will happen here is, you will see, when I run the script, see, my drone is moving forward, it's not moving up or down. Press and hold down the up arrow key, okay? So you see, as long as you're holding down the up arrow key, your drone is moving up. But then, if you release the up arrow key, your drone will stop moving up. Alright? Similarly, when you press and hold down the down arrow key, your drone will move down. But then the moment you release the down arrow key, your drone will stop moving down. So the moment you release the up or down arrow keys, this event listener is running. Your computer is checking for whether you have released any keyboard button or not. And the moment you release a keyboard button, the value of speed y becomes 0. And when speed y becomes 0, this line of code doesn't move the rocket up or down. So now that we have learned how to do this, let's go into how to control the rotation of an object. So let's go to the design tab for now and let's learn about what exactly we need to do to rotate an object. So let's click on this drone object. Now when you click on this drone object, you can use your mouse to move closer to the drone object, or if you're using a trackpad, you can just use the two-finger pinch in, pinch out to zoom in and out of the window. So I'm just trying to zoom in to the drone here. Now here, when you click on the drone object, you can see the properties of the drone object. And along with that, you will see that there are 3 buttons here. See that? It says translate, rotate, and scale. Now, this second button is what we are going to use to rotate an object. But before we rotate an object, look at the properties. For every object that you have in the Hatch workspace, every object has a set of properties. You can click on any of the object's names and you can see all of these objects have their own unique set of properties. But then you will also notice that for all of these objects, there is this common property that defines the position, rotation, and scale in the X, Y, and Z directions. So we earlier had learned about the X, Y, and Z values, but to give you a recap, because we are building a 3D game, we are building a game that is defined along all the 3 sets of directions. All the objects, all the entities in the game have length, width, and depth, height, width, and depth. So you can move the objects in the up and down direction, in the left and right direction, and in the front and back direction. So we have 3 different sets of directions in which we can change the properties of all the objects. That is why we are calling it's called a 3D game. Okay, like in our real life, we can move front, back, we can move left, right, we can jump up and down, we can move in 3 sets of directions, right? But let's say on a sheet of paper or on a mobile screen, we can only scroll the screen up or down or left and right. On a sheet of paper, we can only write in the up and down or left and right direction, right? So those are 2-dimensional spaces, so 2D. And this is a 3D space where you can move objects in 3 sets of directions. Now, so because it's 3 sets of directions, that is why you see these properties, the position, rotation, and scale. These are the common properties that are available for each of these objects. And every object has a unique position in the X, Y, and Z value. And similarly, there is X, Y, and Z value for the rotation and scale. Scale controls the size, rotation controls the orientation of the object. So you will see that whenever you select an object, so right now my drone object is selected, look at the rotation values. It says that the rotation in the X is 0, the rotation in the Y is 0, and the rotation in the Z is 0. Now, let's click on this rotate icon here. So click on this rotate icon and you will see that I have this 3 circles here. You see there's a red circle, there is a blue circle, and a green circle. And then there is a yellow circle as well. You can ignore the yellow circle for now. But you see, like I can, if you move your mouse over any of these circles, those circles become yellow in color. Okay, they get highlighted. So when you can move your mouse over any of these circles, and then you can press and hold down the left button of your mouse and then move your mouse around. You will see that you are rotating the object through that circle. See that? So here, and now carefully look at the rotation values on the properties panel. See, the Y rotation of the drone is changing. It's increasing or decreasing based on where you are turning the drone. See that? And similarly, if you want, we can change the X rotation. See, by changing the red circles orientation. See? And then we have, click on this icon again, and we can change the Z rotation by the blue circle. So what's happening here is you can modify the rotation of an object, modify how the object is oriented in this 3D space by just changing these X, Y, and Z rotation values. So just like earlier, to change the position of an object, we were using the set X, set Y, and set Z, right? So we had three functions called set X, set Y, and set Z. Those functions were helping us change the X, Y, and Z position. And then we had the get X, get Y, and get Z function that would tell our computer what exactly is the X, Y, and Z position of the object. Similarly, for rotation, we will have three different functions that would help us set the X, Y, and Z rotation values. So for now, I'm going to change this rotation of the drone back to 0 in the X and 0 in the Y and 0 in the Z. Okay, so it will go back to the initial orientation. Now, let's go to the code window. In the code window, you will see when you click on this drone object on the left side, you will see that if you scroll down in this list of JavaScript functions that are available for your drone object, you will see that we have three functions called set rotation X, set rotation Y, and set rotation Z. So just like we were using set X, set Y, set Z to change the X, Y, and Z position, similarly, we can use the set rotation X, set rotation Y, and set rotation Z to change the X, Y, and Z rotation of the object. And just like we had get X, get Y, and get Z to find out the X, Y, and Z position of an object, we also have get rotation X, get rotation Y, and get rotation Z to find out the X, Y, and Z rotation of the object. Alright, so let's I'm just going to ensure that my cursor is in a blank line, and now I'm going to click on my drone object and I'm going to add this set rotation Y function. So click on this set rotation Y. Alright, and I'm going to close this black box. Now, why am I using set rotation Y? Because in the design tab, you would have noticed that to make the drone object turn left or right, I had to change the Y rotation. See, when I'm increasing the Y rotation, it's turning left. When I'm decreasing the Y rotation, drone is turning right. Yeah. So because changing the Y rotation is making my drone turn left or right, so I'm going to use the set rotation Y to make the drone turn left or right. Now, just like earlier here in the set Y, what did we do? We told our computer to find out the current Y position and add some value to it, and then set the Y position to that new value using this line of code. Similarly, to set the Y rotation, I'm just going to first of all select this line of code, cut it from here, and paste it here inside the timer function. Now, again, you see this code is starting at this without any spaces, right? So in our last lesson, we talked about indenting the code to make it more readable properly, right? So we can click on the prettify button here and you will see it adds that additional space here so that we know that this line of code is also inside the timer function. So yeah, we have this set rotation Y to 60. And I'm going to add the semicolon at the end. Now, what we will do here is, actually, if you run your code right now, you will see that the drone has rotated a bit, but it won't be easily visible. So what we can do is, so we're going to remove the 60 from here, and just like to move the drone object up and down, we were saying set the y position of the object to its current y position plus some number. Similarly, in the set rotation y, we can say set the y rotation of the object to the current y rotation plus some value. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first of all create a new variable called turn speed and give it the value 0. So it says let turn speed is equal to 0. Now you can give your variable any other name that you want. I'm just going to give it the name turn speed. And what I'm going to do here is inside the set rotation y, I'm going to say drone dot get rotation y. Or what you can do is you don't need to type the whole thing. You can go to the drone, keep your cursor inside the round brackets of this set rotation y and go to drone and click on this get rotation y function. Okay, so you see the moment you click on the get rotation y, this get rotation y line of code gets added here, and here you can say get rotation y plus turn speed. So it's completely similar to the way we were doing set y. So we have, I'm just putting all the code in one line. So we have drone dot set rotation y to its get rotation y plus the turn speed value. Now turn speed is 0, so whatever the current get rotation y value is, it will just set the y rotation to that same value, and because of which we will not be seeing the drone turn right now. So even if you run the script right now, the drone will not look like it's turning. But just like we made the drone move up and down using the up and down arrow keys, we can add more if-else conditions. Okay, I can write else if here and add the condition that event dot key double equal to left arrow. So arrow ARROW capital LEFT, left arrow key. If the left arrow key is pressed, then curly brackets. Inside the curly brackets, I say turn speed is equal to 1. So now if you run the script, you will see that currently the drone is not turning, but if you press the left arrow key, you can see the drone turn. It will keep on turning. It will keep on turning forever. Even though I have released the up arrow key, the drone will keep on turning, and that's because in the KeyUp event, I have not set the turn speed back to 0 here. Yeah. So yeah, let's say whenever any key is released, then turn speed should also set back to 0. So now your drone will only turn as long as you are holding down the left arrow key. The moment you release the left arrow key, turn speed will be set back to 0 and the drone will stop turning, because this will not have any effect on the Y rotation of the drone. Cool. So yeah, here I only added the condition for making the drone turn left. To make the drone turn right, I can add another condition, else if, and add another event dot key double equal to, and I can say arrow right, capital R and capital A, and everything is small. So if event.key double equal to arrow right, then you write curly brackets, and inside the curly brackets you say turn speed is equal to -1. So we are going to increase the turn speed, increase the Y rotation when the left arrow key is pressed, and decrease the Y rotation when the right arrow key is pressed. And this will now, when you run the script, make your drone turn right and turn left when you press the left or right arrow keys. And then the moment you release the arrow keys, this drone stops turning. Simple. So now your homework can be just like we did this Y rotation. You can add similar code for X rotation, for Z rotation. You can add different variables to control the X, Y, and Z rotation, and then add different keyboard buttons to change the X, Y, and Z rotation speeds. Okay, so try out adding more variables to control the X, Y, and Z rotation of the drone, and then add the different different keyboard button controls to make the drone rotate in the X, Y, and Z directions. And then once you are done with your project, you can log into your account and remix the project. So click on the remix button that you will be seeing here, and once you click on the remix button, it will ask you to give your project a name. And once you have given your project a name, you can publish the project, and it will save the project in your profile that you can access in this My Projects button here. Alright, cool. So yeah, in this lesson we learned about the KeyUp event, we learned about XYZ rotation values, and we learned how to modify the rotation values using JavaScript. Cool. See you guys in the next lesson. Bye bye.